Rain whispered against the windows of Adrian Hale's apartment, a dull rhythm that filled the silence. He sat on the edge of his couch, staring at the glow of his laptop. The world outside Seattle was blurred and gray. Fitting, he thought, for a life that felt half-remembered. Then the phone rang. A number flashed on the screen. Unfamiliar, yet tugging at something deep inside him, he hesitated before answering. Adrian? The woman's voice was warm, older, gentle, but trembling. This is Lydia March. We used to know your parents, he frowned. His parents had died when he was 9. No one ever called about them. Before he could respond, another voice joined the line. Smoother, firmer, Elaine Ward. We'd like you to come stay with us for a few days, Elaine said. At our Lakehouse. It's important. Adrian tried to laugh it off. I'm sorry, I think you have the wrong person. No, Lydia whispered. You're exactly who we need. The call ended before he could ask why. By morning, curiosity had swallowed his doubts. He packed a single bag and drove north, rain turning to mist as the highway curved toward the Cascades. The GPS led him down a narrowing road lined with pines until the lake appeared. Still, black, endless, the house stood on the far shore, old but beautiful, its windows glowing faintly like watchful eyes. Lydia greeted him at the door with a shaky smile. You look just like him, she murmured. Like who? Adrian asked. Her smile faltered. You'll remember. Inside, the air smelled faintly of cedar and something sweeter. Lavender, maybe. A fire crackled in the hearth. Elaine entered behind her, tall and composed, her gray eyes assessing him like a scientist studying an experiment. You came, she said simply. I wasn't sure why. You will be. They guided him to the living room, where a wall of photographs hung, people he didn't recognize. Families at picnics, children in boats, a boy, maybe 10 years old, standing beside a man at the water's edge. The boy's face was blurred by time, but the shape of it made Adrian's stomach twist. Who is that? He asked. Lydia smiled faintly. Someone you used to know. Dinner passed in a haze of polite conversation. Lydia asked about his work, his apartment, his life in the city. Elaine asked nothing, only watching, as though weighing every inflection in his voice. When the dishes were cleared, Lydia poured wine. To beginnings, she said. Adrian clinked his glass, but the toast left a hollow echo. Later, in the guest room, he unpacked his bag and caught sight of a small photograph placed on the dresser. He hadn't put it there. It showed a woman standing beside the same lake, but behind her, faintly reflected in the water, was a child. His child self, only he had no such photo. He turned it over. On the back, scrawled in hurried handwriting, Do you remember what happened to you? A cold pulse climbed his spine. He stepped into the hallway. The house was quiet except for the ticking of an old clock. From below came the murmur of voices. Lydia's soft, trembling. Elaine's low and sharp. He doesn't remember. Not yet, he will. The dreams always come back here. Adrian froze. That night, sleep felt like drowning. He dreamt of the lake. Moonlight rippling over black water. He was small again, standing on the dock while two shadows called his name. Then, a scream. A splash. Silence. He jolted awake, heart hammering, the sheets damp with sweat. For a moment he couldn't tell where he was. The room seemed to shift, the wallpaper peeling, furniture slightly rearranged. The photograph on the dresser was gone. He stumbled into the hall. The clock had stopped ticking. From the living room came a faint humming. Lydia's voice, low and broken, singing a lullaby he somehow knew the words to. He stepped closer and saw her silhouette beside the dying fire, eyes glistening, humming to no one. On the table before her lay the same photograph, but now burned halfway through. Edges curling in black ash, Adrian whispered, "Lydia." She turned slowly, her smile wet with tears. "Don't worry, sweetheart," she said softly. "It'll come back soon. It always does." Cliffhanger. End of part 1. Would you like me to continue with part 2, The Fracture, where Adrian starts uncovering hidden files, journals, and begins to question his own memories, and morning arrived gray and cold. Mist rolled over the lake like breath on glass. Adrian barely slept. The dream still clung to him. The scream, the water, the sense of something missing. When he came downstairs, the fire was out, and Lydia was gone. Only Elaine sat at the table sipping black coffee. "You should eat," she said. "Where's Lydia?" "She went into town. She needed air." Elaine's tone made it clear he shouldn't ask further. He sat across from her, waiting. Elaine set her cup down and studied him. "You've been here before, Adrian." He almost laughed. "No, I'd remember." Her gaze didn't waver. "You used to say that every time." A chill ran through him. "Every time?" Elaine rose from the table and walked toward the window. The mind protects itself. When the truth becomes too heavy, it buries it. But the body remembers. He didn't understand. But he didn't want to. After breakfast, he wandered through the house. It felt alive somehow. The creak of the floorboards, the soft hum of the refrigerator, the way every mirror seemed to distort his reflection by a fraction. He stopped before a door at the end of the hallway. Brass handle. Locked. Something behind it clicked. He pressed his ear to the wood. Silence. Then a faint rustle. He tried the knob again. Still locked. Back in the living room, he found Lydia's knitting basket overturned. Beneath it, a photo album lay open. Faces blurred, dates smudged. One photograph caught his breath. A boy and a woman on a dock, smiling. The woman's face was Lydia's. But the boy was him. He turned the page. Another image. The same boy, older, maybe 15, standing with Elaine beside a silver car. In the corner, scrawled in fading ink. The world seemed to tilt. He slammed the album shut and ran outside, lungs tight, air cold. The lake stared back like a mirror. For a moment he thought he saw something move beneath the surface. A pale shape, drifting, almost human. Then it was gone. When he returned inside, Elaine was waiting in the hall. "You went to the lake," she said flatly. "I just needed air. You shouldn't go near it." "Why not?" Her eyes flicked to the photo album clutched in his hand. "Because that's where it began." That night, the storm hit. Thunder shaking the windows, rain slashing against the glass. Adrian couldn't sleep. Every creak in the old house made him jump. He kept seeing the words again in his head. Test subject A. He got up and returned to the locked door. Lightning flashed through the hallway. He reached for the handle. and this time it turned. The room beyond was small and sterile, like a forgotten lab. Shelves of old videotapes lined the walls, labeled with years and strange codes. 2008, Trial 2A, 2010, Sequence 4, Adrian, Reset, 3. His pulse hammered. He picked up one tape and slid it into an old player connected to a dusty TV. The screen crackled. Static cleared. A boy sat in a chair, no older than 8, electrodes on his head. Lydia stood beside him, whispering softly. Elaine adjusted a machine that hummed low and rhythmic. The boy looked up at the camera and spoke. "My name is Adrian Hale. This is the 5th time I've woken up here." "Please, stop!" The tape cut to black. Adrian stumbled back, knocking over a shelf. A glass jar shattered, scattering pieces of something dark inside. Hair? Teeth? He couldn't tell. His breath came in sharp bursts. He heard footsteps approaching from the hallway. Lydia's voice trembling. "You weren't supposed to see that." He turned toward her. "Tell me what this is," he demanded. "What the hell did you do to me?" Tears welled in her eyes. "We didn't do this to you, Adrian. You did it to yourself." "What are you talking about?" Elaine appeared behind her, holding a small black device that pulsed faintly with blue light. "You were the experiment," she said calmly. "You wanted to forget. You asked us to erase it all." The storm outside roared, lightning flaring white across their faces. Adrian backed away, shaking his head. "No, you're lying." Elaine lifted the device. "You said the same thing last time." The light on the device began to blink faster. Adrian felt his vision blur. His pulse slowed. And then darkness. When Adrian opened his eyes, the world was white. No walls. No ceiling. Just a fog that hummed with electricity. His body felt weightless, like he was floating in static. Then, slowly, the whiteness sharpened into shapes. A metal room, humming monitors, and 2 figures watching from behind a glass wall. Clara, Margot. Only now, they were wearing sterile suits, masks hiding half their faces, eyes cold and calculating. Adrian tried to move, but straps held him down. A soft mechanical hiss came from behind his head. "Welcome back, Adrian." Clara's voice echoed through the intercom. "You made it further this time." He blinked, heart hammering. What do you mean this time?" Margot turned to a nearby screen, typing something. The monitor flickered, showing footage, grainy clips of him walking through the same Lakehouse. Over and over, each version of him slightly different. Different clothes, different hair, same confusion, each labeled the same. Memory loop, iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3. "No," Adrian whispered. "That's not me." "It is," Margot replied softly. "All of them are you, or pieces of you. We've been reconstructing your consciousness, rebuilding the fragments of a life you once had. But something always breaks." He shook his head violently. "This isn't real. You're lying." Clara tilted her head, studying him like a fragile experiment. "You died, Adrian, 6 years ago in a neurological trial. The government wanted to preserve memory beyond the body, a living consciousness. You volunteered, but every time we bring you back," she sighed, "you start to remember it's not real. You find the truth too soon, and the system resets." Adrian stared at her, disbelief twisting into nausea. He could still feel the cold of the lake air, the smell of pine, the touch of Clara's hand. I felt it, he whispered. The rain, the wood floor, the fire. It was real, Margot's voice softened. It was real, inside your head. We built it from your last living memory, the cabin your parents owned by the lake. We filled it with familiar faces. You reconstructed us from your mind's fragments. But we are not real either, Adrian. Not anymore, he screamed, a raw, tearing sound that bounced off the walls. The lights flickered. The metal floor trembled beneath him. Machines started to beep, rapidly, alarmingly. We're losing him, Clara shouted, the loop's collapsing. Adrian's memories began to overlap. Flashes of his past, then the Lakehouse, then fire, then white light. He saw himself as a boy, running by the lake. He saw Clara, not as she was now, but younger, laughing. He saw Margot holding a camera. And then he saw a man, older, identical to himself, lying in a hospital bed, tubes snaking from his arms. Who is that? He gasped. Margot's voice cracked. That's you, the original. The room began to distort. Walls stretched and warped, colors draining away. Adrian's restraints dissolved, and suddenly he was standing, or thought he was. He stumbled toward the glass, pounding it with his fists. Let me out. I don't want this anymore. But Clara only whispered, almost to herself, It's too late, Adrian. You can't leave what you are. The glass shattered, not with sound, but with silence. He stumbled through it, into a darkness so deep it felt alive. When the light returned, he was back at the Lakehouse. The fire crackled. The air was warm. Clara sat by the window reading a book. Margot was in the kitchen humming softly. Everything was calm again. Too calm. Adrian rose from the couch, trembling. Did something happen? He asked. Clara looked up, smiling gently. You fell asleep. Long dream? He blinked. The room was exactly the same as before, every detail perfect. But when he glanced at the reflection in the window, his heart stopped. It wasn't his face staring back. It was the face of another man, older, sharper, unfamiliar. Who am I? Adrian whispered. Clara closed her book and stood. You're home, Adrian. That's all that matters. Outside, the lake shimmered, glassy, endless. A bird cut across the pale sky, its reflection rippling into infinity. And for the briefest moment, Adrian thought he saw hundreds of reflections, hundreds of him, each trapped beneath the water's surface, staring up, silently screaming. Months later, deep underground, two figures watched a monitor flicker to life. On the screen, Adrian Hale, laughing at the table with Clara and Margot, completely unaware. Iteration 4, one of them said quietly. Running. Stable. The other nodded. Let's hope this one doesn't remember. The screen glowed softly as the sound of distant waves filled the room, and the lake rippled again.